Hey guys, welcome. It's your girl Folasade, the accountability accountant, guys. I am so excited to be with you guys today on this amazing Tuesday. It's beautiful, it's summertime, and look, we are live and we have a special guest tonight, DC's own. He is he does taxes as well, just like me, guys, but we have an amazing guest coming on, and tonight we're going to be talking about financial analysis and your business, the connection between the two. So for years, if you guys been following me, I've been always saying that there's a distinct connection between your personal finances and your business and all of the numbers in between. So tonight we're going to dive into it with our special guest, Xavier Epps, the owner of XNE Financial in, I think it's Alexandria, Virginia, in the DMV, guys. So we're going to deep dive and talk about your business and the connection between your personal finances. So do me two things. Share the video, grab your pen and grab your paper, right? Okay, and let's get ready. So we're going to take a quick little break and we'll be right back. Hey guys, welcome to the Money Zone. I'm your host, Folasade, the Accountability Accountant, guys. And guess what? We have a special guest, Mr. Xavier Epps. He has more than 15 years of industry experience that spans various sectors from Wall Street, nonprofits, federal and local government. Mr. Epps has been involved in the world of economics and finance for some time now. He founded XNE Financial Advising LLC in 2011 to ensure individuals and small businesses receive accurate and detailed financial analysis. He has more than 700 clients and ensure each individual client with the detailed numbers that they need to make approximately $3.9 million in revenue, as well as he manages $2.1 million for individual families, y'all. Okay. He also have helped his clients get more than $3 million back in tax refunds for his clients. Okay. And he is the CEO, as I said, of his company. But I seen Xavier on like the news, the local news and stuff in our area because he's in the DMV just like I am. So guys, help me welcome Xavier Epps to the Money Zone.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Hey,
Thanks for having me, Flo.
how are you?
I am good. I'm blessed. I'm here. I'm happy. I'm ready. What about yourself?
I'm ready to rock this thing on out. I'm so excited that you decided to join us tonight. So guys, we have something in store. We're not really planned, but for me, talking about numbers, guys, is just right up my alley. So I don't know about you, Xavier. Can we just jump right on in?
Look, we can jump right in it. However you want to do it, I'm fine with it. I thought it was an interesting subject that we'll be talking about tonight, so I'm perfectly fine with it.
Yeah, so just to give you some backstory, I've been live streaming since about 2015, and I've always told the people that there is a distinct connection between how you handle your personal finances and the way that you handle your business finances. So I know you have a strong specialty in the personal arena from our discussion, and I'm a bit strong in the business arena. So from the personal standpoint, Xavier, when you work with individuals that have businesses and don't have their ish in order on the personal side, how does that affect them on the business side?
Great question. It affects it tremendously. If you don't have your ducks in order for your personal, and you're the CEO, you're the owner of your sole proprietor, that stuff spills over into the business quite easily. So first and foremost, you make sure you have your things in order, your finances, you understand your credit, your debt, your taxes on your personal side, because what you don't understand on your personal side very well show up on the business side. So when I meet clients that don't really know how to separate the two or don't look at the two as two different entities, the very first thing I say is we have to have separations of power. You can't be running a business as if it was your own personal slush fund. And a lot of people think, oh, because I own the business, I can do X, Y, Z. And they do X, Y, Z. And then comes time, to, as you know, to file taxes or to try to acquire some type of capital. And no one can make heads or tails about what's going on with your business because you're commingling your personal stuff. So that's number one for me when I work with a client that has a business, is to separate the difference between your business and your personal. Because if you don't, it's going to be a headache trying to understand how profitable the business really is.
Yeah, so from your experience, have you seen that with clients that have poor financial habits on the personal side, that they also have poor financial habits on the business side? Or you seen that, they can just flip a switch and it just works out well?
I would say 2/3 of the time is always bad. If you are bad managed, if you're a fiduciary of your personal assets and you're terrible at it, low credit score, very little in the bank in terms of savings for emergencies, and you have tax issues, that's very likely the issue I've seen on the business side. The business doesn't have a lot of capital, no available funds for rainy days. It's hard to budget just little things like marketing because they're just really poor at how they manage their personal side. So a lot of people take it and say, hey, well, you're being judgmental about me. It's like, no, I'm being real. Like you have to be able to get your stuff in order personally in order to be successful in the business.
Look, guys, so no, this is a no judgment zone. So do not take offense to anything that we say here on the Money Zone. I bring experts on so we can just bring light to the problems that you guys face. And I've actually experienced like a lot of the things that you guys have experienced. So no, so don't ever feel like there's any judgment at all. So that leads exactly into my next question. So how important is having a budget?
Oh my God. I got a plug. I don't have my book around, but Budget It Yourself. I just released that book back in April. Budgeting is superior to everything as it relates to your finances. If you feel like a budget isn't for you, then you need to make it for you. I see a lot of people that think that they can be successful without having a clear financial plan, and they don't really know that they're hurting themselves. The budget is a piece of your financial plan. It's a holistic thing, but the budget is a piece of it. The other piece is your taxes, your debt, your credit, your investments. That's the whole thing. And when you're a business owner, you got to have a budget for your business too. A lot of entrepreneurs get out there just winging it. Oh, I got XYZ left in a bank account at the end of the month. Let me do this. No, you need to have a budget, because in order to define metrics and have KPIs, you have to understand where your money's going. If you allocate 300 for marketing, I always talk about marketing because it's a sensitive subject for some. But if you allocate 300 for marketing, but you're not seeing a bang for your buck, maybe you need to increase it. But if you're just spending money on marketing and not really sure if you're getting a good return, that's when budgeting comes into play.
You know what, Xavier, you said a key thing is that, first of all, guys, I want you to understand that when we say budgeting, we don't want you to feel like you're in jail. You know what I mean? Like, no, you're not in jail. Okay. Yes, you can have a little bit of freedoms, but the budget just actually is like your accountability partner. It holds you accountable to, one, make enough to pay the bills, two, keep enough so you can save and do the things that you want to do with family and everything else. So that just goes right into, see, you're rolling right into my next question. So we got the budget, right, Xavier? We got the budget. So everybody, you need to do your budget.
Right.
Now, a budget, from my perspective, is useless if you don't analyze numbers. So from your perspective, how, and just from just a soft basis, nothing really high level, where would an individual start to analyze their budget?
So it's funny you say that. So when let's say, I have a new client for X&E Financial Advising, and I build a budget for them. Budgets go over 12 months. The very first thing I let them know is that this is a budget. It's not going to be 100% correct. It's going to be a guideline to what you should be doing every payday as it relates to your bills, your debts, your savings, your taxes. This is what you should be doing every payday. It walks you through that period, 26 period or 24 if you're semi-monthly. When it comes down to it, you're turning that budget into an actual document. So for my clients, I have them go in every payday and take it from budgeted to this is what I really did this payday. So over time, 3, 6, 9 months, we have an actual document that we can compare to the actual budget. So now we can do a compare and contrast. Like, what did we go wrong with? Why didn't we save as much as we thought we were going to save after 60 days? Or why didn't we pay down as much debt as we thought we were going to pay down to have a lift in the credit score? See, all of the, the analytics aspect is having that person, be accountable for what they're doing, not simply just laying out a plan and saying, bye, and I'll see you next year. I encourage my clients to come and compare what we budgeted versus what is actually going on.
Yeah. And so in our world, we call it your budget, your budgeted amount, and then the actual numbers. And so this is where, once you guys get the actual number, so this is why your budget alone is just a piece of paper. It's not really useful as it could be if you guys don't take time and really analyze it. So let's say, for example, you put the budget down, you made the money you said you was going to make, and the numbers are a little off or a little higher or a bit lower, whatever the case may be. You will then take those numbers and compare them. You want to compare and ask yourself some core questions. Okay, did I overspend? Did the utility company charge me more? Those are type of the questions I think Xavier may ask his clients once he go to review the actual numbers against the budget. So I'm just trying to give you guys some examples of why just doing the budget in itself is just it's not the complete process. You have to analyze the numbers after that. So Xavier, so once you've worked with a client and you did their budget, and you've inputted their actual numbers and you did your comparison, in our community, in the Black and Brown community, what is one of the biggest, and this is one of my fun questions, what is one of the biggest or largest expenses on individual budget? Two, if you can give me two.
Yeah, I mean, so two of the biggest expenses are going to be the discretionary spending. It's number one because that really dictates how much an individual can save, right?
Yes.
And in the Black community, and I hate to say that, it's depreciable assets such as cars. And these assets they're fixed assets that you have to be making these fixed payments over time. And we put so much value in depreciable assets that we forget the things that appreciate, such as real estate. So for a lot of Blacks and African Americans that I do meet, and it's unfortunate, second on that list is going to be depreciable assets like a car note or a truck, for a truck or a car. And my goal slowly is to change people's mentality over what assets to own, what are good assets, what are bad assets. And that's, I just think those are the two things that come to mind.
Oh, you know what? That is good, guys. So he basically said from his experience, he sees that most individuals spend money on their fun stuff. So y'all know y'all be partying, having fun, nails, hair, day, all of that. And
Right.
then also your cars and things that really don't really add value to your bottom line. So do you understand or believe in the concept of making your assets a liability? I mean, your liabilities an asset?
Oh yeah, most definitely. Everything has a value to it. And even when we talk about personal assets or a personal balance sheet, for instance, a lot of people don't understand that their home, even though they own the home or they're paying the mortgage, that it's not just a liability. Whatever the value of that home offsets each other. So if it would be listed as an asset, and then the mortgage itself will be listed as liability. But the difference between that of a real estate or piece of property and that of an automobile is that, yeah, you'll have the automobile listed as a liability, but guess what? The asset part will be declining over time. While you're making the payments and for it to be net zero, you'll never have to worry about that with a piece of real estate. So no, I'm a big believer in, taking assets and having it produce income and turning it in, a liability into an asset.
I like what you said that the vehicles actually, well, in our term, they don't appreciate, but for everyone else, he said that the value of that vehicle is capped. So if you bought it at 20,000 and you depreciate it, it's never going to go above that $20,000. So guys, you have to be very mindful when you guys are making purchases of that sort. So do you, from a personal standpoint, do you actually now say, okay, you know what? You're spending too much. You have have you ever had to cut a client credit card or just go to the extreme with it? Or you've been able to kind of, talk people off a ledge and get them kind of structured after a few months or about a year or so down the line?
If any of my clients are looking at this live feed right now, or when they look at this video, they know rule number one, when you work with X is to cut your credit cards. Because I build a cash basis budget. I do not believe in leveraging that or credit per se, or lines of credit to make it to the next payday or to rob Peter to pay Paul. Don't believe in that. And if things are that bad, I'm going to be looking at options like bankruptcy, or if we can't produce more income, then I'm going to be looking at what things in your budget can we cut so that we can, relieve the pressure that you have and, being able to save money for the future. But number one rule, cut all credit cards. Every client has to go through it. You got hard hit clients that don't do it. And then I see that they didn't do it. So now I'm, in their ear, blah, blah, blah. Like, why you didn't do what I asked you to do? Now we get back into this vicious cycle that we're trying to get out of. Yeah. So it's number one in my book. Don't come to me if you're not ready to cut your credit cards.
Yeah. So, well, I'm going to go ahead and ask this question before we move forward. Someone from Instagram said, my client Stormy Styles said, do you recommend leasing a car or financing it?
It depends on the options. It depends on the financing options. If you have a strong credit score and you see a nice APR offer up there for 0%, which a lot of dealers offer, a lot of manufacturers offer, that may be more attractive than doing a lease. And then on the flip side, it may be more cost effective to do a lease than finance it if you got jacked up credit. Yep. At the end of the day, your credit score does play a role with the leasing option and the financing it yourself. It just doesn't play as much of a role as if you was to finance it versus leasing it when it comes to your credit. So it definitely depends on what your personal finance situation is. That's going to determine which option is best for you.
I couldn't say it any better. And I've had a client, actually, I ended up losing a client, Xavier, because I told him those exact words. Like, I personally don't give tax strategies just to reduce your tax liability, because sometimes you can make a $3,000 investment and only bring your taxes down by $100. Is that investment worth it? So a client asked me that exact calculation, and I said, well, we have to really reflect on what your budget says. Yeah. What could you afford to pay? And then walk in and get your options at that point, and then come back and decide at that point. So I really love your take on it, because it was, and that's kind of like a test to see if a person really know what they talk about too. So that means you guys know what they talk about.
Don't be like that. Hey, your clients, don't be trying to set me up.
No, it was an actual question, but it was perfect. Because it lets me see your perspective when it comes to like people, like you're not out here being boastful. I'm gonna ask you that question. How you feel about all these people talking about you can do this, deduct this, do all this, and just kind of pushing our people to the ledge and very extreme? Now, I can be the audit now, okay, right now. Mm-hmm. But the issue at hand is a lot of this stuff is somewhat extreme without the details. So how do you feel about all of the Instagrammers, all of the influencers talk about tax tips and write off this, write off that, and using that as their pitch to get new clients?
Yeah, I think it's sad. It really irritates me. It really irritates me. And like I said, I'm a realist. So when my clients, they'll send me TikTok videos, or they'll send me Instagram feeds of how this person is going to save their client all of this amount of money, but they never really go into details of the Internal Revenue Code. And me, I'm always looking and being updated on what's going on with the Internal Revenue. So when I see that and I have to refute it, it's like I almost sometimes say, look, if you like what that person is saying, go work with them. Go work with them. But what I'm telling you is this is not applicable to your situation. And I try to give a quick snippet as to why it's not. And then when they start sending back all of the questions, I'm like, look, now you're about to get charged a fee. I don't typically charge fees to talk, but now I'm about to charge you a fee, because it's almost like what I'm saying you ain't hearing, or you don't like what you hear. And, being on time is money. So, no, I get it. It's sad, because you have to do your due diligence. You have to, if you want to say, hey, I heard someone on TikTok said if I, rent out my home for 14 days out of the year, that I could use XYZ percentage of square footage to write off on my personal. Look, do your research before you come to me with those type of questions, okay? Like, you ain't even got a business. What are you talking about? What are you renting to yourself? I don't understand the logic here. So I just tell people to do your due diligence before you jump into bed with some of these people that's promising some write-offs that may not be applicable to you.
Yeah. I think what disturbs me the most is that most of them have never really experienced an audit, so they don't really know the scrutiny and how to really substantiate this stuff. And a lot of these people that's buying these courses and making them rich don't even have the caliber of business that would kind of sustain, and back match to the level of the expenses these people telling to claim. So I'm actually getting a bit concerned now and preparing me and my team for the surge of audits and everything, not only from the PPP fraud, that's happening.
Yeah. Oh my God.
The IRS hiring so many people. So from your perspective, and because you're a fellow tax pro, how do you feel when people want to really stretch and bend the law a little bit in terms of, taking tax write-offs and things like that.
This is our 11th year of being a registered individual in a business ERO with the IRS. And what I've learned is that I can't save them all.
Yeah.
Even though I desperately try to save everybody that wants to stretch the tax parameters and, don't mind the scrutiny that may come, I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to have my corporation's name behind it, and because it's not who I am. I'm a very black and white type of person when it comes to the interpretation of the Internal Revenue Code. I don't try to stretch the truth. I try to validate any information provided. And when it comes to audits, I assist clients with it, but I'd rather not be dealing with it because that's not my cup of tea. So I'm like always forward thinking whenever I do someone's tax return. How can this come back to bite you in your butt if you don't have proof of this expense? Especially when we talked about, or I mentioned briefly about renting out your property to yourself and writing that off as a tax deduction. And let's say you do have a legitimate business, but you somehow tell me that you should write off the total amount of rent as business expense. Well, what's the basis of that?
Right.
Like compared to other rental rates in your neighborhood and based on the square footage of your living room, how can you justify writing off the whole mortgage as a business expense? It doesn't and I tried to break that down to people, and it's almost like, yeah, I hear you, but I still want to do it anyway. I'm like, what? And that's when you got to sever ties, and you can't help everybody. So I've come to that realization a couple years ago. No matter how hard I want to help everybody, I know I can't.
Yeah. Oh, wow. So I'm going to kind of take a veer a little bit on the conversation and kind of go back the topic, but I did want to ask you because we're both online and IG, and I know you see it, and I cringe all of this stuff, and I'm like, okay, Lord, please help my people, please help my people. But still fall a prey, to all of the mess. So now let's kind of take a step back, like from your perspective, being that you really have a specialty in personal finance. And I didn't mention that, Xavier, you have your Series 7 and Series 63 license?
I had 763, 86, 87.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but I don't use it anymore. That was my Wall Street days. You talked about that.
That was my Wall Street days. At least had to put it out there now.
Yeah, no, I was a financial analyst. I was doing it, registered broker, financial analyst. I took it serious for the time that I spent dealing with investments, bonds, mutual funds. My job in Wall Street, just to give people a little bit of background, was to do trajectories and models, discounted cash flows, all of the evaluations on different banks and thrifts. So I covered Bank of America, JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, Wachovia before they got assumed and acquired. My job was to build the models and update them throughout the earnings season and predict what the earnings were going to be in the future to come up with what the share price should be trading at in the marketplace today. And then that's how people will determine if they want to, hold a stock, buy a stock, sell a stock based on the research that we were providing to the institutional investors and our clients. So that's what I did, 7, 8 years. So I'm fondly familiar with how the personal side of taxes and the business side of taxes connect. Because I used to build these massive models that are all of these different algorithms and calculation in it. Because I was, licensed with Microsoft Excel, so I'll get in there, pivot table, and doing all type of things. One thing that. Go ahead.
Sorry, so you had said something like, I know from the business perspective and the personal perspective. So from your perspective, what is the distinct connection? What is that line that connects the personal finances and the business?
So the line that connects the personal and the business is when, let's say you're a sole proprietor and the only income you got coming in is your business income. So when we get down to the profit, and oh my God, we're going to have to segue a little bit more about the profit. But when we get down to the profit, you need to know what you need personally in order to survive from the business. You don't need all of the money. And a lot of people that are sole proprietors, they think that they need to take all of the profits out and spend it on personal. No, establish what your budget is, right? Hey, this is what I need every month to pay my basic bills, my basic needs. I need $3,000 or whatever the number is every month, and I'm good. And if the business is profiting around 5,000, I suspect that you take $3,000. So that's the personal connect between the business and personal, is that you need a certain amount of revenue, which leads to a certain amount of profit in order for you to sustain yourself personally as it relates to your budget.
Yeah. And you know what, I'm going to throw in there too, that's also where your personal credit and your discipline and consistency and paying things on time on the personal credit actually hinders you when you go to start that business, because if you didn't take care of your personal credit, then you won't be able to get the line of credit or the credit card as easily as someone else that have managed your credit. So your personal finances, guys, connect the dots. It's a fine, thick drawn line. It's not thin. And I think when, people think about, taxes and, everything else, they tend to forget that, even if the business has its separate arm, depending on how it's structured and everything else, it still may have a personal impact, personal tax return. So from a tax perspective, right? What have you seen individuals? So for me personally, I've seen where they don't understand that, okay, we may have to do estimated tax payments because you work a job too, and your business is profitable. So they don't really understand that when you're not a corporation, it's still a pass-through entity of some sort, and it has an impact. So my question to you, that was so long, drawn out, my bad. My question to you is, how painful is the personal tax amount or the business tax amount on your budget?
It can be very painful. It can be very painful. If you're running a business outside of your 9-to-5 that you work for the government or the private sector or a nonprofit, if you have a profitable business and you don't estimate accurately or closely or at all, because a lot of people that have sole proprietors, or that are sole proprietors or that have a business, do not pay estimated taxes. And a number of those people, and I've seen a couple of studies, a number of those people that have 9-to-5s, that number goes up even higher. So if you are a sole proprietor that don't have a 9-to-5, the odds of you paying some taxes is a whole lot greater than the odds of a person that has a 9-to-5 and a business. Because now they're so divided with their time between two different entities, they can't even think about all the multiple hats they need to wear as a business owner. And the whole tax thing just gets dropped down to the bottom line for the people that work a 9-to-5, and it can crush. It can crush you as a business. It can crush you personally, because it takes for us to have to be told the same thing 2 or 3 times before we get it. So year 3, someone that has a business and has a 9-to-5 finally says, "Look, I can't keep having these crazy tax bills. Let me work with someone finally going into year 3 that's going to help me understand why do I keep having these large tax bills." And that at that point, it's going to be even tough or harder for you to get out the hole, because now you're behind 2 or 3 years once you started your business, not really understanding how the two work. So it could be a crushing blow for a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs that have a 9-to-5 and a business.
Yeah, and I've actually even seen people close down their businesses because they just lost track of the tax part of it and was overwhelmed. Just didn't want that responsibility. And I think a lot of people have not really gotten the full gist of what it takes to be bosses. And, thinking that you can just post on Instagram. Yeah, that's the cute part, y'all. Like, yeah, we posted or whatever. But, that's the easy. I don't know about you, but that's like the easiest part of my day. The rest
is posting on Instagram, social media. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, because if you're a true financial professional, a true accountant, anything in our industry, our industry is very vast. If you're a true professional in our industry, you can sit there and see something hit the headlines and post it and be like, "Yo, this is how this is going to hurt y'all," and then be gone about your day. And now you've helped helped out the world. You've given something back to the community. So yeah, that is the easy part. I do agree. When it comes to social media, because if you're true about your passion, you should be able to talk about anything as it relates to it, and you should be able to teach somebody.
Yeah, and so that goes into now my question: that leads into you having your book, sir. So now, the marketing part, that's easy, y'all. But managing the behind the scenes is like, you can go out and make $1 million today. And I've seen it, guys. You can make the $1 million, and then because you didn't manage your bookkeeping well, because you didn't pay me to do it, okay, you end up owing $300, $400, $500, $600 something thousand in taxes because we don't have the expenses, or you just didn't do things right. Yep. And in the end, you're looking so confused. So what I do advise each and every one of you guys, especially before we go on a quick little break, is go and check out Xavier's book, Budget It Yourself. Because if you fall into a windfall of money, you need to be able to immediately pull out something, jot some numbers down, whip out an Excel spreadsheet, and get the job done, just so you can be in control. Many of you don't understand that your lack of a budget is why you're all over the place, why you're feeling uneasy. Like, I've seen people get themselves sick simply because on their brain, they're trying to calculate all of the due dates of their payments. And when things coming out, calculating their bank balance, doing this. No. That's not
brain
how
about to explode. What's going on?
Yeah, so guys, do me one favor. Go and check out Xavier's book. He was a bestseller as well on Amazon and everything. And head over to his Instagram at XNE Financial and check him out. We were figuring out during our discussion how we can kind of collaborate and do work together. So anybody like that does need like the personal part of it, I'm gonna swing you guys right over to him so he can help manage those budgets and things like that, because as business owners, it requires that discipline. So guys, do one favor, check out his book, Budget It Yourself. Head over to Instagram and follow him at XNE Financial. Tell him Folasade sent you. And then, guys, get ready to grab your notes, because I got some questions for Xavier when we come back, and share the video. And we're going to take a quick little break. We'll be right back. Your refund is not something extra, okay? That's another thing. Y'all see here, not even understanding that if you broke, you do need to find somebody to help you with your coins. I don't know why y'all think that accountants and financial advisors only work for the rich. Hell no. I had to financially advise myself to even get to where I am now. Shit, when I was getting refunds, I had to financially advise myself on how to use the refunds. Like, guys, my story, I used my actual tax refund to build my business. I really did. I had Brim. Brim was born 2012. Started the business 2011, August. I got my refund and I put it right back into the business. I didn't have employees then. I didn't have a big office. I didn't have all of the stuff that we got right now. Right? I put it back into the business. So I had to financially advise myself too. So regardless of how much money you have or how much money you don't have, are you being smart with what you have? Are you going to do right with what you have? Make some investments, save some stuff, start your business, do some things. But the last thing I want you guys to do is just fuck it up. And that's been one of my dreams. That's my little Drake song. No, that's the last thing I want you guys to do, because we're still treading light waters right now, y'all. I don't know when we're going to get out of all of this mess. And I don't see anything happening overnight, because there's too much policies happening. They haven't even really niched down and say who deserved what or who's supposed to get what. Biden is putting in so many executive orders and doing so much that they're blindly not even seeing that we're developing more and more problems as we're growing, as we're moving. Hey guys, welcome to the Money Zone. I'm your host, Folasade, the Accountability Accountant. Guys, on tonight's episode, we're talking about financial analysis in your business and the importance of it. And so we had a special guest, DMV's own Xavier Epps of XNE Financial in Alexandria, Virginia, guys. We were talking about the distinct connection between your personal finances and your business. And so kind of listen, like, I think I noticed something. Like after the segment 1, I go right into like those hardcore questions for you guys. So this is the time. If you have not grabbed your pen and paper, you want to do it. If you have not shared this video, definitely share this video with your colleagues. Let them know Folasade and Xavier are live and they dropping gems. But better yet, don't forget, after tonight's show, it is streamed within 24 hours on ripradionetwork.com. But after 24 hours, if you want to check out the video, you won't be able to see me, but you will be able to hear the audio on all places where podcasts are housed. And guys, just to give you a heads up, the prices for my course, Audit Proof, is going up July 9th. I think that's like right around the corner. So if you want to learn how to audit proof all of those tax deductions that these influencers telling you how to deduct now, they talk about the G-Wagon and the boat. They talk about all sorts of stuff. So I'm not saying that you can deduct the boat plan. I'm going to show you how to audit proof and back up and substantiate everything for your business. So if you're a client of mine, bookkeeping client, not tax client, you get access to the course for free. But if you want to join us, go to auditproofmasterclass.com. Auditproofmasterclass.com. All right, Xavier. So if you were just starting out and you did it and you want to become financially free, you have big dreams, you want to be able to retire and be comfortable, you don't want the typical broke life, right? So where would you start? Can you give us 3 steps to jump start your financial free journey?
Yeah, no, that's good. And I wanted to go ahead and plug the book. I had to go grab it.
Yes.
So
Perfect. So there goes Xavier book, Budget It Yourself, Amazon bestseller, guys. I wouldn't have him on here if I didn't recommend him. Especially, I reached out to him personally. He's doing good things in our community or whatever. So check out his book, guys. Budget It Yourself. You can get it on Amazon and maybe check out his IG in his profile. You might can get a link to it as well.
Yeah, perfect.
Financial on Instagram.
Perfect. Just wanted to throw that out there. So 3 things that you need to be worried about or trying to do to, I always say escape to financial freedom, right? Number 1, obviously create a budget. That's something we've been talking about already for the beginning of the show. You got to have a plan. If you have a plan, then you're doomed. You can't just be out here working without a plan. But number 2, I see a lot of people that don't leverage or contribute the max amount of money they possibly can to their employer's retirement plan. And then the flip side is that I see a lot of people that are entrepreneurs and don't open up a SEP IRA. Like, this is money that you could be contributing, and then the business can be contributing on your behalf for that double whammy, super inflated investments that you need. So I encourage, number 2, make sure you're contributing to your employer's plan, especially if it has a match. But even if it doesn't have a match, make sure you're contributing. If it has a match, don't leave any money on the table. A lot of employers, they match your investments up to a certain percentage every year. But even outside of that match, you contribute the max amount you possibly can without hurting your budget. I'm not saying go out there, contribute a full $15,000, $18,000, whatever plan, and now you're broke at home and you ain't got no money because you're contributing so much to your retirement plan at work. But do as much as you can, and over time, you put yourself in a position that you're maxing out that contribution. And once you max out that contribution, you work on the next investment vehicle. You open up a separate account outside of your employer, maybe it's a Roth IRA or IRA, and then you're doing that. And once you get to the point that you're able to max out 2 different levels of retirements on the yearly basis, as well as save money, you're well on your way to getting to a point that you can retire comfortably. And number 3 is making sure you set up a goal to become debt free. And the reason behind that is because once you retire, you don't want to be carrying a lot of debt around. And if you're carrying a lot of debt around, all of that hard work and investment that you put away is just going to end up getting eaten up. And you got to worry about, hey, is the debt that I have, does that debt cost more, or is it going to equal more to what returns I'm getting in a retirement? That's the biggest issue for a lot of retirees, is that they built this nest egg and they had this amount of wealth. Now they got to worry about if that wealth is going to produce enough income on an annual basis to cover the cost of the debt. So you want to kind of try to eliminate as much debt as possible before you get to retirement so that you can have smooth sailing.
I love that. And I just saw an article, I think it was yesterday or today, that basically says senior citizens do not have enough, Xavier, to retire, and they're having to continue to work. So this conversation is right on time, guys, because based on these 3 steps, just start where you are, guys. Just start with where you are. Budget it yourself. Like Xavier book, budget it yourself. Just start where you are. And so I know, honestly, because I work with, a lot of businesses, especially in African American in the community, is that there are a lot of money barriers that I have to break to even get to the core of habits, get to the core of disciplines. And it is extremely painful. But once I get a client saving, and once I get them building up their nest egg, and then we shift to start investing in things like that, it's exciting, you guys. Like, it may be difficult to get started, but it don't have to be as hard and challenging as it may seem. Yes, you're going to have to hold yourself accountable, okay? As the accountability accountant, there's no way around that. So hold yourself accountable and just do what Xavier just said. Create a budget and make the plan fun. Don't just say, I want to sit on the beach in Florida. No, say, I want to sit on the beach in Florida, pop bottles and dance. And I want to, make it fun. And and you get excited, start to visualize yourself in that plan, in what the life looked like for you. Okay, Xavier, so I want to ask you 2 questions. 2-part question. How has accounting and accountability impacted your bottom line in your business? Well, impacted you and your bottom line in your business?
Oh my God. So accounting and accountability. I take my business. So, it's 2 businesses. You see this one behind me, it's Finance Guy X. That's me. That's the personal brand. That's the person writing books. That's the person being, a public speaker. And then you got the X&E Financial Advising, which is the corporation I started almost a little over 10 years ago. When I started that corporation, it's a C corporation privately owned by me. I really took everything very serious, down to the accounting of the books. Now, I don't do a great job taking it serious nowadays, but it gets done. It gets done, and it gets done. But in the beginning, I took it very serious because that's what I do. I'm managing people's finances. I need to take my own books for my own corporation very serious. And when I started out, I would have these quarterly meetings with myself and my business plan. So I created a business plan, and I encourage anyone starting a business to do that. Invest the time and the effort in creating a business plan, because it's going to be your Bible as you move along throughout the years. When you put in that business plan, what is your 3 and 7 and 10-year goal? That stuff means something. I didn't envision a decade later where I could be. And, we actually assisted over 1,000 clients. So even some of the material that you had is a little outdated, but we assisted over 1,000 clients. And I never imagined we would be here. And if it wasn't for my business plan and the different metrics that I held myself accountable for, we would never be where we are today. So for me, it's understanding that taxes isn't bad. And this is one of those barriers that I have to break with a lot of clients, that they come to me and they say, I don't want to pay taxes.
Yeah.
And I'm a business owner. And I said, well, you don't want to work with me then. And the reason being is, if you do not pay taxes, that means your business is not profitable.
Thank
no
you.
one's going to take you serious if you don't pay taxes. Period. No one's going to want to invest in you. No one's going to want to hear what you got to sell to them, because your business don't pay taxes. And the smaller amount of taxes you pay, the smaller amount of profit you have. So I ask simple questions, and when people answer, I'm like, oh, yeah, this ain't going to work. We got to change that mindset. And the number one mindset is that it's okay to pay taxes.
Yeah.
Hell, I want you to get to a point where you're paying $1 million in taxes. Because
Thank
what
you.
that means? That means you made a couple $1 million in revenue. So I'm that type of realist. Like, I don't like to sit here and look at things like taxes as a negative. Turn the things that you think are bad into a positive. So
Yeah.
those are, two things that I take very serious when it comes to my business.
I love it. I love it. And I did the opposite, Xavier. I did not focus on my accounting when I started and almost flopped. So I think that's where the personal brand was able to kind of feed off, just off my experience of me having a coach and build from nothing and use the actual numbers to grow. And, so my story is a bit different. I was kind of being, you get tired of doing the damn numbers after you do everybody else shit, Xavier. Let's be honest,
I am.
And it was like, and then
I
it was
get it.
barely any money coming in either. And I'm pregnant and I'm like, gotta figure it out.
I
No.
was so depressed in year one of business because, like I said, 8 years prior, I was in Wall Street. So I jumped into the business thing like very serious, very ambitious, and offering deals and discounts. In year one, it was like less than $25,000. I'm like, all that work, but it paid off. It paid off, and I'm happy I stuck with it. But yeah, you do get tired of doing numbers all day.
Yes. Oh my goodness. So, we're wrapping up, guys. So do me one favor, head over to Instagram, follow Xavier XNE Financial. Also check out his book, Budget It Yourself. Even if you have yourself an accountant or you're my client and things like that, still check out his book, simply because these are the type of tools that you guys have to be able to teach your children's children and your cousins and your nephews. Like,
Generational wealth.
Yes, we cannot build generational wealth, guys, if you guys are not equipped with the type of tools as budgeting and the type of tools as accountability. Because I think accountability is a tool too, because most people that's extremely successful hold themselves extremely accountable to everything. So, holding yourself accountable and doing those budgets. I think if you guys focus on those two core things, you will end up achieving whatever goals that come your way, because you make sure your finances are in order and, organized and, everything in place. And then because you hold yourself accountable, you won't be BSing and procrastinating. You look yourself in the mirror, slap your face and keep going and hustle. And like Xavier said, that 25,000, you're going to look at it and keep working, because you're going to hold yourself accountable to your goals. So is there anything that you would like to leave the audience with, Xavier, before we go?
The only thing I want to leave the audience is to, keep on, and don't listen to what you hear in social media from people that aren't experts. Look at people like Flo, look at people like myself, and remember that we're here for your best interest. We thrive off your success. So the better you do, the better we do. And just don't fall prey to those those quick, hey, we're going to get you, millions of dollars, or we're going to find these huge tax write-offs. Just, keep being persistent, keep asking questions. We're here to help you.
Yes. So guys, tonight was absolutely amazing. So just to give you guys a heads up before I got like 1 minute, I've received a few calls over the past week with people that got their PPP loans and they know they didn't and they need the paperwork to back it up. So guys, everything is coming full circle. I've been warning and preparing you guys for years, told you guys don't do the shade. Now the government is coming and they coming, Xavier, they're coming. So guys,
I know they are.
They coming. So guys,
I'm straight. I'm good. Actually, financial is good. We ain't got no problems. I try to keep as many clients out of that minutia, but hey, it's up to you all.
Yep. Look, so guys, as Xavier said, just be mindful that everything that sounds good isn't good, okay? And if you guys have any questions at all about taxes or anything like that, we're here to serve you guys. But let me just leave you guys with this. Whatever you don't do, it's going to be one of the tools that you need for tomorrow. So if you're lacking your accounting, if you're lacking accountability, Those would be the two core things you need. And if you don't have that budget, then when it's time for you to get your coins and stuff in order, you're going to still end up needing that budget. So guys, do me one favor, follow Xavier. Don't forget to subscribe to our mailing list at bit.ly/TMZ. Get notified so you can know when we're having other guests on the show. And tonight's show is a wrap, guys. Good night, Xavier. Thank you so much. We appreciate
Good night. No problem.
it.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you. And guys, budget it yourself. Check them out. Thank you, guys. Good night.